didn't believe in demons. Not really. I had been raised in a Catholic household, sure, but by the time I hit college, the concept of good versus evil seemed more like a morality tale than anything real. But then I was assigned to research the exorcism of Emily Rose, or rather Anneliese Michel, the woman behind the infamous case. What I discovered during my investigation changed everything I thought I knew about evil. I was working on my master's thesis in psychology. My topic was supposed to explore the psychology of possession, how certain people under immense stress or trauma might manifest symptoms that could be mistaken for demonic possession. It was all going smoothly, or so I thought, until I visited the town where Anneliese Michel had lived and died. My first stop was a small village church. The air felt thick as I entered, like something was clinging to me. The old priest there was cautious. He agreed to speak with me only after I assured him I was approaching this from a purely academic standpoint. "She wasn't possessed," he said firmly, eyes tired with the weight of knowledge I wasn't yet ready to comprehend. "But she believed she was." I listened, taking notes, but something gnawed at me. There was something he wasn't saying. He finally gave me permission to visit the cemetery where she was buried. And that's when things began to unravel. The graveyard was quiet, but an oppressive sense of unease weighed on me the moment I stepped onto the grounds. Anneliese's grave wasn't marked any differently from the others, yet it stood out to me immediately, almost like it called to me. The hairs on the back of my neck prickled. I approached, running my fingers across the name carved into the stone. That's when I heard it. A whisper, barely audible but unmistakable. "Help me." I spun around. The cemetery was deserted. A chill ran down my spine. I backed away from the grave, heart hammering, but tried to rationalize it. Stress, fatigue, just a trick of my mind. That night, I stayed at a small inn nearby, trying to shake off the experience. Sleep didn't come easily, and when it did, it was filled with vivid nightmares. In the dream, I was standing in front of Anneliese's grave again. Only this time, her decaying hand shot up from the dirt, grabbing my ankle, pulling me down. Her eyes, hollow and black, locked onto mine. "You shouldn't have come here," she hissed, her voice low and inhuman. I woke up drenched in sweat, heart racing, convinced it was just a dream. But when I looked at my ankle, there was a faint bruise, in the exact spot where she had grabbed me. The following days were a blur of strange occurrences. My phone would ring with no one on the other end. Doors in my apartment creaked open on their own. And the whispers, they grew louder. I started hearing them everywhere. The same pleading voice. "Help me." I contacted one of the priests who had performed Anneliese's exorcisms. He was reluctant to talk, but after some convincing, he finally relented. "There are forces in this world," he warned me, his voice grave, "that we do not understand." Anneliese Michel wasn't just a girl with a psychological condition. She was tormented by something ancient. I wanted to believe it was all in my head, that it was the result of my deep dive into her story. But then the attacks started. One night, as I lay in bed, I felt a pressure on my chest, like something was pinning me down. I couldn't move, couldn't breathe. The room grew ice cold, and when I opened my eyes, I saw her, Anneliese, standing at the foot of my bed, her face twisted in agony. "You need to leave," she whispered, her voice distorted and broken, "before it's too late." The next morning, I packed my bags. I couldn't stay there any longer. I abandoned my thesis, abandoning the idea of logic, reason, or psychological explanations. What I had experienced was real, too real to dismiss. Even now, years later, the memories haunt me. Sometimes, I still hear the whispers, faint and distant. I've learned to block them out, to ignore the cold shivers that run down my spine. But I know one thing for certain: whatever possessed Anneliese Michel was not just in her head. It was something far darker, something beyond our understanding. And I fear that, by delving too deep, I may have brought it back with me.